Well, sometimes you got to take the good with the bad, right? And I thought about that a lot yesterday as the Cleveland Browns gearing up for a wild card playoff game on Saturday against the Houston Texans. And it's not the good and the bad that you got to go down to Houston. It's not you're playing CJ Stroud and facing last time. It's that you will have to do it with one of the many darlings of the season for the Cleveland Browns this year, and that is Dustin Hopkins. You know, I think it gets lost a little bit with how much Flacco and Miles and Amari and Dustin Hopkins has captivated this town to a degree, right? We all know Flacco's up there. I got people sending tweets about where we're going to put the statue for Joe Flacco when he wins the Super Bowl. But Dustin Hopkins this year has been a big story. A big issue that the Browns have had since Phil Dawson has been filling that role. And we believe and we think that we have finally done that with Dustin Hopkins. But lo and behold, unlikely that he is going to kick for the Cleveland Browns this weekend in a playoff game. There's the good and the bad, man. The good is we're in a playoff game. The good is it is the kicker we're talking about. It's not a quarterback. It's not Denzel Ward. It's the kicker, but it's still very, very important. What's your level of concern with that? Because I sent a tweet out yesterday talking a little Riley Patterson, and Browns fans really appreciated the positivity that you get with Riley Patterson. So we'll talk about that. I got a take on Mike Vrabel that we'll get to. He's officially out in Tennessee. He ain't going to Ohio State. And I'll explain why a little bit later. We got Noah Weiskopf at 9:30. A lot to get to with Noah. We got our bracket. We got our Typico boost, Ryan. We're going to a realm that I know nothing about, which tells you the boost is going to hit tonight. We'll get to the morning update. We'll get all of it right here on a Wednesday edition on Big Play. Welcome to the show, everybody. I am Matt Fontana. He is Ryan Tyler. Good morning. A little blustery Wednesday. Dude, it's supposed to get like, not Kansas City cold, like -15, but my brothers are big ice fishermen, so all they want is the lake to freeze over. But with that wind out there, it ain't freezing anytime soon. But stay safe on your drive-in if you're not to work already. Stay safe getting around downtown. Got a lot to get to this morning. I do want to spend some good time talking Vrabel, because I think there are people that have a misconception on Mike Vrabel, and I need to set some people straight on him. We'll get to that. Again, excited for Noah at 9:30. I want to talk Jim Schwartz. We haven't heard his name on the head coaching thing. We'll get the update on some of the other injuries surrounding the Browns. We'll get Noah's thoughts gearing up for Saturday as well. Our bracket, your favorite 90s cartoon. Vote on Twitter at Matt Fontana Show and drop us a follow there if you can. We start with the kicking situation. And it's like, it's relative, right? Because it is a kicker. But it's also Dustin Hopkins, who has been one of those guys. It's been one of the better stories. And I feel like it's fallen off towards the end of the season because you haven't needed him to kick a 55-yard game-winning field goal recently. He has been out with the injury. But you've been able to overcome it, but the playoffs are so different, right? Where we're conditioned to think that you're going to need a kick at some point, right? And I tweeted about Riley Patterson yesterday. I want to bring this up because yesterday, when we got the official announcement, and it's unlikely. That's what Kevin Stefanski said. I'm operating that you're not getting Dustin Hopkins on Saturday. Okay, I think that's the fair way to go. So I looked up Riley Patterson yesterday. He has 2 career games against Houston. Now, I apologize. I did not look to see if both those games were in Houston or where. 2 games against Houston. 4 out of 4 on extra points and 3 out of 3 on field goals. His career in a dome, 14 games, 39 out of 40 extra points, and 25 out of 26 field goals. And his career in the playoffs, 2 games, 4 out of 4 extra points, and 3 out of 3 field goals. Browns fans appreciated that positivity. And I wanted to send this tweet. In no way am I diminishing what Dustin Hopkins has done or even diminishing how important that injury is. Yeah, that just quick little 4-stat thing that I put out there, does it make you feel all that much better? You could be saying, all right, we might not even need Dustin Hopkins this weekend. I feel like the Browns are going to be good in this game, and that's cool. But it's just the twist of everything on the offense, what that means to Kevin Stefanski as the play caller, how you approach drives, end of halves, all that kind of stuff. And you got a backup kicker in there. And again, relative of good and the bad, it is still just the kicking situation. But Ryan, seeing what Dustin Hopkins meant to this team, I'd be lying to you if I didn't say I was a little concerned. And that's going to be our Twitter question this morning. We'll post that up at Matt Fontana Show on Twitter, X, whatever you call it. I still call it Twitter. I know. I got a new conversation with somebody in ESPN this weekend. You still call it Twitter? I go, yeah. Well, it's not the name anymore. Well, I'm sorry to tell you that that's been the name for the majority of all of our lives, so that's what we're going to call it. Go follow us wherever you want. We're going to post that up on that social media platform. How concerned are you with the Browns kicking situation for Saturday? Extremely? A little? Not concerned at all. We'll do the 3 levels on that. I'm really concerned, not too concerned, or a little, and then not concerned at all. I'm concerned. To an nth level degree, not necessarily. I know the playoffs are going to be a consistent thing. You have teams that are, you're facing the cream of the crop, right? So field goals will matter. Points will matter. Field position will matter. At least you got Corey Borges for this game. I can't turn a blind eye to it. Now, another reason that I believe this is a little bit of a focus, you're pretty good everywhere else. You're going to get Amari Cooper. You got flat. Like, there's really no overarching issue for the Cleveland Browns right now. Yes, the overarching issues of the season have been well dealt with and we're over it. But I'm talking about right now today, you feel good about Amari Cooper. I know Coach said there's a chance Grant Delpit gets activated. We'll talk to Noah about that at 9:30. But really, that's it. That's it. The rest of your guys are good to go. The rest, I mean, Sed Tillman will see concussion protocol, things like that. But for the most part, this is a focus. That's a positive thing. If this is one of the biggest focuses and one of the biggest hurdles you're going to have to overcome, that's pretty good. But it's still something that I can't just dismiss. I can't just turn this away and say, you don't got to worry about that. The one thing that I'm going to grab onto more than anything, right? This is in a dome. This is not go kicking up there at what's going to be the frozen tundra out there at Arrowhead. This is not kicking up in Buffalo. You're not even honestly, I want the home game bad. It's good you're not at home. You're inserting Riley Patterson here where you believe, and I hope, that the dome helps you equal that playing field a little bit with him having to kick in the dome. So I look at it from that standpoint and say, we'll see. I'm concerned. There's no way I'm voting I'm not concerned on this. It's something I'm going to pay attention to, and it's probably something that until the game actually kicks off and maybe, get him a short one if you can. Hey, how about this? Just score touchdowns. Don't even worry about field goals. That'd be a nice thing. It's not the world we live in. But it does change so much with the offense. And I think it's a bigger thing about Dustin Hopkins, about what a find that is. This season has been about getting Joe Flacco in here, but we know Joe Flacco not going to be here next year, right? You plugged a hole on this team. Seriously, you did right before the season. And I think people can forget how hard of a decision that really was for Andrew Berry. You had to swallow your pride that your drafted kicker is not the guy after 1 year. And I was shocked when they made that move. I did not see that coming because I thought that they were going to stand on that to say, we believed in this guy, we scouted this guy. They made the move, and it has paid off to the highest level with bringing in Dustin Hopkins. And we all believe that this is a guy that you can stick around here for years. I crave from Mason Crosby. And I don't even want to say Justin Tucker, because he's a unicorn, right? I just kind of want a guy exactly like Mason Crosby. Was Mason Crosby ever the best kicker in football? No, but he was always top 5, and he was in Green Bay for, 16 years or whatever it was? Give me that. Give me a guy like that Dustin Hopkins can be here. He doesn't ever need to rival Justin Tucker, but he can be a guy that's a top 5 kicker consistently for 10 years here because he's a little older. I want that so bad. And that is something for the future, and I wish so badly he'd be ready for this game, but he's not. But you plugged that hole, and that's a well-done job by Andrew Berry. Still got to sign him. Still got to get Borges a deal there, too. And those are the little things that we as fans don't necessarily focus on. That's the job of the general manager. But those are areas that if you can just circle that and scratch out, we don't got to worry about that, you're good. Charlie Hewlett, don't got to worry about long snapping. You're good with Charlie. You got him. You're good. So those are things to get excited about for the future. But Ryan, for Saturday, I wish Dustin Hopkins would be out there. I really do. I wish he'd be out there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, so I would say for the question's sake, because of the value that Dustin Hopkins has brought to this team, really been a unsung MVP outside of, your Myles Garrett's and now your Joe Flacco's. So
you don't want a team that your kicker's an MVP. We've been on those teams before, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah, so I think because of that fact, the baseline level has to be at least a little concerned. And because of how valuable he's been, I'm more teetering on extremely concerned. And that may be me letting history of our bad kicker play kind of creep in there and affect how I feel about it. But the stakes are so high, right? Your first playoff game since 2020 and your second since God knows when. I can't remember that game because I was probably 2 years old. So I'm leaning towards extremely concerned, but I'm willing to listen to calm me down and just be a little bit concerned.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You're in the dome. That's going to be my biggest reason for it, to try to help out Riley Patterson there a little bit more. Yesterday, Kevin Stefanski spoke. Again, a few things coming out. The most interesting one, I actually want to start with Joe Flacco here, because Flacco kind of spilled the beans a little bit, that the Browns had a team meeting for some of the veterans to talk about going to the playoffs. Here's Joe Flacco spilling things a little bit on that team meeting.
We had a team meeting yesterday, and we were able to address that a little bit, and just hear from some different stories about, what playoff football is all about and stuff like that. And how much does that ultimately mean? You never know, but it is cool to hear some different perspectives on, on what people feel like it takes to win at this time of the year.
So you did speak
a little bit.
All right, there you go. So then I want to play Kevin Stefanski right after this. Go ahead and play Stefanski, and he really kind of straight up starts out with, "Yeah, you weren't really supposed to say that."
Which one is that, Matt? Is that the...
Just play the Stefanski on the players meeting.
Gotcha.
Sorry, players meeting.
supposed to tell you that. No, I think for all of us, as you get started on the second season, I think it's important to hear from different perspectives. That's all it was.
Just keeping it. I just thought it was funny how he goes, "Yeah, they weren't supposed to tell you that." That, I think, is such... I wanted to play that because I think that's so important. Where you do have younger players that you are putting in this role, but also to really kind of ease the mind to say, here are veteran guys that you put more on them. I think some of the best teams in football are when a player plays to their level. And here's what I'm talking about. I expect more out of Myles Garrett. I'm going to ask more out of Joe Flacco for this game on Saturday. Embrace that and have your veteran guys look around and say, I know who I am. I know what my job on this team is, compared to somebody else that is a special teamer, and their job is very important, but our jobs are different. Our level of accountability on this team about what we need to do in the game is different. For the veteran guys to step up and say, we're still going to do that. Look to us to lead this here. Look to us to be able to take us where we need to go. You still got to do your job. You still have to do your job covering kicks, or if you're a rotational guy on defense or offense, we're still going to need you. But you look at the collective of guys to say, I've been there before. Now, Joe Flacco, and I'm shooting from the hip here, trying to think. Joe Flacco, Juan Thornhill, I think that's it, of guys that have won a Super Bowl. Did Shelby Harris, has he won a Super Bowl?
I don't think I don't think so.
I don't think Dalvin Tomlinson has.
No, I don't believe
Shelby Harris has not won a Super Bowl. He's not. Man, dude, Shelby Harris has been in the league for a long time. Sorry, I just pulled up his thing. 2014. He was with the Broncos in 2017. They didn't go, right? No, that was way after Payne. Okay,
that was a couple years
All
after.
right, okay. So I'm just saying, you look at some guys that at least have been to the playoffs, but really only a few guys that have won a Super Bowl, to say this is what it takes. Because you got bright eyes going for Saturday for the players. And even some of the guys that have been with the Browns, they've only been through a couple of playoff games. By the way, we'll get to time hop a little bit later. You saw Reflux tweet this morning. You know what today is. You know what today is. I was in my basement, COVID, Browns Steelers. Yes, that's the game for time hop. We'll get to that coming up later. Dude, I almost hit my head on the ceiling of my basement. I was on the first play.
Yeah.
Over his head to the end zone. Ah, man, I love it. But there are guys that even played. Some of those guys missed that game, right? But even the veteran guys that have been on this team, they don't have a wealth of playoff experience. So you're going to look to your guys that have been there before to say, we'll lead this. We'll get to where we need to go. Trust us, and we'll go. So I loved that. I know Coach didn't want that out there, but I loved hearing that they had this little bit of a players meeting to discuss it. We'll hear more from Kevin Stefanski later because the big thing, another big part of what he's talking about, you just faced this Houston team a couple of weeks ago. And he had some high praise for one CJ Stroud. We'll get to that a little bit later in the show, but I did want to get to Mike Vrabel this morning. So Vrabel fired, which I was shocked by with the Titans. I thought he'd leave. And then it kind of tells you the dysfunction that's going on in Tennessee. They said, well, why not trade him? And they go, well, we don't want to wait. What? You could trade Mike Vrabel and at least get I'm not saying a 1 or anything.
I didn't know you could trade coaches.
Oh, yeah. Technically, Sean Payton got traded to the Broncos.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to think of the big, the one I was going to say, the big John Gruden. John Gruden got traded from the Buccaneers. Buccaneers Raiders. I can't remember which he went to. Oh, no, he's in Buccaneers into the Raiders.
Read 5 biggest head coaches in NFL history.
Pull it up.
2002, John Gruden to the Buccaneers.
Yep.
1997, Bill Parcells to the Jets.
Oh, that's right. Parcells was the big one because he left the Cowboys, right?
It doesn't say.
Okay, yeah, Jets, yeah.
2023, Sean Payton to the Broncos.
Payton was technically traded.
2000, Bill Belichick to the Patriots.
Well, so that I think was like he resigned, and then the Jets, because he technically signed a deal. He got introduced as the Jets coach, and like the next day he resigned. So I think that's when they traded him to the Patriots.
We know this guy. 1999, Mike Holmgren to the Seahawks.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that too. Playoff ticket, Mike. I got some stories about Mike.
I just
Holmgren.
watched.
Let me tell you some stories about Mike Holmgren.
I watched like a couple days ago, Matt, this 2-hour or like 2.5 hour just history of the Browns, like 46 to I think it was 2007. Because like obviously I knew some of the stuff, but
it's good to get a little history.
Like,
sure, I like
and
history.
see some film and stuff. And then I watched the later half, like 2007 to like 2015, and then I saw Mike Holmgren in there literally yesterday. So I was like, wow, funny enough.
So the thing on Mike Holmgren, we're going to talk Mike Vrabel here in a second too. The thing about Holmgren was Randy Lerner didn't want to own the team. Do you know all about that?
Yeah.
Do you know
Al
about
Lerner.
Randy Lerner? So Al Lerner,
his
and
son took over.
I will tell you this to the nth degree, that one of the worst things that ever happened to the Cleveland Browns was Mr. Lerner passed away. Because when the Browns were coming back, I mean, so you watched all that.
So that was 2002 when he passed away. Yeah.
When he passed away. And when the Browns, okay, we know the story. Modell ripped the team away, and the NFL was sympathetic for that. The NFL was like, this is wrong. We shouldn't have let this happen. So when they sat down, and there are crazy times, and I talked to Riz about that. I've had Tony Grossi tell me so many stories, and I love that. I do, because they were there. They lived it.
Yeah,
right?
Tony Grossi was in the doc.
He was, yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's the thing. These guys lived it. So when the team was coming back, they put all this together there was different ownership groups. There were different people vying to own the Cleveland Browns. And there were a lot of people back then. It was, I think, Les Wexner was involved, and then you had all these people that were up here. And Al Lerner, who made his money with MBNA, he comes in, and he's part of the ownership group with Carmen Policy. So he gets the team. And he was a guy that is the kind of owner that you want. He wants the team to be successful. He's not going to cut corners, and he was going to do whatever it took to make the Cleveland Browns successful. Very unfortunately, he passes away only a couple of years in. He turns it over to his son, Randy, and he did not give a damn. And the lore around that was that he told his dad before he passed away that I will own the team for at least 10 years. And almost to the mark, Ryan, on 10 years, he sold it to the Haslams.
Yep.
Randy Lerner
2012,
never cared. He never cared. So what he always wanted was somebody to come in and be the pseudo owner. He finally got that with Mike Holmgren. The only thing, one of the biggest things I'll remember about Mike Holmgren was that Randy Lerner sent him to the owners' meetings in his stead. Randy Lerner was the owner of an NFL team, and he couldn't be bothered to go to the NFL owners' meetings. He sent Mike Holmgren. And he always said it's because, oh, Mike knows this or he's better with football than that. Mike Holmgren didn't care. He was on a bed of cash. He would go to sleep every night on a bed of $100 bills that Randy Lerner gave him for coming here to do a bunch of jack squat nothing. It was the best retirement plan that Mike Holmgren could have ever got. And I don't think he really cared because all he did was bring in Pat Shurmur. You know who Pat Shurmur is related to, Ryan? Fritz Shurmur.
Huh?
Who was Fritz Shurmur? Pat Shurmur. I keep Schumer. Pat Shurmur was Fritz Shurmur's nephew. Fritz Shurmur, Mike Holmgren's defensive coordinator when he was up in Green Bay. And Gerard coined this, you know what nepotism is? Like, you know.
Yeah, you're a nepo baby. Yeah.
He called it the nephewtism because of that. And he was just hiring this guy and, I'll get this guy paid and all that kind of. Mike Holmgren didn't give a crap. Don't call me when we get to playoff tickets. Interesting times, nonetheless. So we digress a little bit there. But I know a lot of people watching and listening. They lived through it. They remember the Mike Holmgren years.
Well, sorry, totally sidetracking this Mike Vrabel talk for another Mike. But I don't know if you know this, but if you can explain it to me, obviously you've been here way longer than I have in this industry.
Yeah, thanks. I probably can't. What?
It said this GM Ernie Accorsi. It said he was there for like 9 months, fired under mysterious circumstances, but they didn't get into it. I was wondering if you have any.
Well, Ernie
knowledge
Accorsi,
on that.
Because
9 months, a GM, that's a short span.
Now, if you asked me about George Kokinis, that's another GM that
was
fired.
Maybe that's the one I'm thinking of.
Are you thinking of George Kokinis?
There was one.
Ernie Accorsi was here, and that was a little before my time. You might be thinking of George Kokinis.
Then yeah, I am. I'm thinking of the George guy because I just looked at the years Ernie was. That's not it. Yeah, 2009 he joined. So this is the guy I'm talking about, George Kokinis. I mean, does it involve?
I
don't want to.
I have been sworn to secrecy, Ryan.
Actually. I feel like your silence speaks louder than what.
It's not that. Okay, oh God. Okay. So again, I worked with Riz forever. I love Riz to death. In my professional world, he's meant everything to me. He's my mentor. He really is. And he jokes about the Kokinis story all the time. And he told me the Kokinis story. Okay. But he swore to me to never tell anybody what really. So in the documentary, what did they say? That one day he got escorted out, right?
So all it said was
nobody knew what happened.
Under mysterious circumstances. They showed like a video of him at his like office,
and they're literally walking him out with security in a box. They say, "Pack your crap and get out." Right?
Okay, so I kind of have a feeling.
Oh,
I know.
You have no idea.
Well, maybe not to the extent.
No, you have no idea what really happened.
Was it so?
Don't you?
Tell me that. Can you tell me this, and maybe you can't.
Maybe I can. I don't know.
I'm assuming what he did wrong, it really wasn't football related.
That is a very factual statement.
So, okay, yeah. So I kind of feel like I know. And I got that feeling when I watched it. That's the first thing I thought of.
That is something that is kind of, I don't want to say it's ever been lost to the history of the Cleveland Browns and lore, but the Kokinis story is a massive thing about
I want to start
the
like
dysfunction.
A group to like educate my age, like generation.
Oh, I tell you, man, and it was one of my favorite days working over at ESPN Cleveland. There was a 45-minute segment that Riz and Grossi did where they just talked about when the Browns left. And Riz was talking about that he went to Baltimore, right? There was a Save the Browns campaign.
Yeah.
And they launched this contingent to go to Baltimore and what that all entailed and all this, not secrecy behind it, but what it meant to get the team back, how the team, I mean, they went through it about really what led to Art Modell having to make the move that he did. It's not like Art Modell woke up one day and he says, oh, I'm going to move the Browns. There was 15 years worth of mistakes and bad ideas and misinvestments, and it really all came back to the stadium. And the big thing was, do you know about the Gateway Project? They built the Q and Progressive Field, Jacobs Field and Gund Arena.
Okay.
They built those arenas, and the Cavs and the Indians weren't good at all. The Browns were the 80s Browns. They were the best team in town. And here's Art Modell sitting down going, what the hell? You're giving these two teams who suck a brand new arena and a brand new ballpark, and Municipal Stadium was falling apart. And Art Modell didn't have the money to upkeep it anymore because his biggest tenant was the Indians. They left, so he lost all that money, and that is really the precursor of why he had to move the team. Anytime a team gets moved, it's usually over a stadium. And that's where when you see all these teams now that fight over it and get in the stadium and that's really it. Now, was Art Modell tapped out? He had no more money. He couldn't even sign players. I mean, the story on that was that his wife had to go take out a loan for them to go sign a player. Andre Rison, by the way. She had to take a loan out to go sign a player. That's how little money they had because of everything that got screwed up there. And then Modell, firing, Paul Brown when it all started, like way back in the day, Belichick and Bernie, that's all stuff that, you could sit down. There'd be an hour class. There'd be more than that of just telling the stories about what happened in the 90s. And I remember, because I remember them coming back, and they told me, talking about the stadium, my dad told me this. My dad worked on the stadium. He's a local 55 plumber for 40 years. He worked on the stadium, and they go, they put that stadium up as fast as they could because they didn't want the NFL to go back on the deal and take it back. So that stadium was not meant to last as long as it was, where they're like, let's get this up and we'll make all the changes later. And then Al Lerner passed away. And Randy didn't care. So the stadium kind of was never meant to be as long as it. There's stories out the wazoo, man. It's been a conflicted history with this team for sure. But yeah, the Gateway Project and the mayor and all that kind of stuff that got involved. There's a history lesson to be had. There's 100% a history lesson to be had. All right, we'll get to Mike Vrabel a little bit later. We got no Weisskopf coming up a little bit. I love that conversation because
I did too.
I'm only 34, so I remember parts of it, but I lean on people like my dad and Riz and Grossi to tell me all the stories because they were there, they lived it, they were a part of it. And all the things that happened and the back channel deals. And, Riz told me, he goes, Modell toured Jacobs Field one time when they were right before they were going to open it. And he swears that was the day that Art Modell said he was going to take the Browns away.
We should have a history day one day.
We can do it. At that point, I would want to invite somebody that'd be so cool. Be able to talk it all through. Riz told me the story. So here's how it goes just on the Gateway. Was the Cavs are still playing out Richfield. The Richfield Coliseum, right?
Yeah, I live pretty near.
So the mayor said, all right, we got a good idea. We should bring them back downtown, right? They're the Cleveland Cavaliers. So where the arena and the ballpark is, it was just warehouses, like the Cleveland Comedy Club was all over there. So they go to the nth degree to build this brand new thing with Gordon Gunn and Dick Jacobs, and they go all out to make these beautiful new arenas. So how would you feel if you were the Browns, you were the best team in town, you were the most beloved team in town, and you're watching these other two teams get a brand new stadium when yours is literally falling apart? And then, so here's how the stadium was built up, right? Art Modell leased Municipal Stadium from the city for $1 a year. But with that, he incurred all upkeep. He had to maintain everything. But at the same time, he got all the ticket revenue and all the concessions and all that kind of stuff. It worked when he had baseball there all summer long. Then you take away his tenant of the Indians, he loses that money, and he supposedly went to the city and said, I need some help here. And they go, well, we're tapped out. We just built these two new arenas. That's your problem. You go deal with it. And then when he went over to go see the other arena, Riz told me, that was the day Art Modell said, that's it. I'm out of here. I'm gone. So, yeah, a little history lesson. I love doing. Well, maybe we'll do a little bit more in the offseason. We'll do that. Noah Weisskopf joining us of the OBR. Follow him on Twitter and Instagram at Browns with Noah. Noah, we'll have you in. We got into a Browns history discussion here a little bit this morning, so we'll have to have you, and we'll do in the offseason. We'll do a round table. We'll go around and we'll do a giant history lesson if you're in for that, all right?
I'm in.
All right, I love it. No, a lot going on for Saturday. The first question, we're talking kicking this morning, and I said it's a good problem relative of we're not talking about our starting quarterback being injured. We're not talking about but it's an important one. It's not one that I could just turn a blind eye to. Are you concerned about the kicking situation with Riley Patterson for this Saturday? And do you have any hope that if the Browns advance, that Dustin Hopkins might be able to kick in the divisional round?
Yeah, there's hope. I know that there was definitely hope last week that Hopkins could return, despite being out with the Bengals game, return for this game, but just didn't make the progress necessary and hasn't really done so, given the unlikely label. But yeah, I mean, you have to be at least a little concerned that you don't have I mean, I guess not a Pro Bowler, but one of the best kickers that you've had in a long time with you. So that it kind of sucks. Riley Patterson at least has the history in playoff games. It's indoors, which helps. So I guess you sort of have everything that you can want as a kicker coming into this situation if you're Riley Patterson. So we'll kind of see about that. But I'm seeing your reaction. I was going to ask you guys if you saw
Did
the
you just
Grant
see it?
Delpit
Tell her
news.
Grant Delpit. I just saw it, Noah. He is back.
Yeah, about 10, 15 minutes ago, they announced it.
Yes, there he is. All right, Grant Delpit return. No, that's massive. I think when you talk about just having a guy like Grant Delpit back, but I look at Nico Collins, and I was going to ask you about him. I mean, that big-bodied guy, I like MJ on him, but dude, getting Grant Delpit back, that's big news right there. I'm happy. That's awesome.
Yeah, and it was kind of the expected move. We weren't 100% sure if he was going to be cleared to play. But you have that 21-day window, so you have 3 weeks to activate him to the active roster. So it was one of those moves where it's like you might as well do it, even if you're not confident he's going to be able to play this weekend. But yeah, he was cleared to play. He's going to practice today in hopes of returning on Saturday. So we'll see about his availability for that.
When you think about other injuries, Amari Cooper still battling the heel. I mean, really, no, I think we're in a good spot, right, when it comes to some of the injuries. Everybody's nagging with something. It's been a long season. But for the most part, outside of Delpit, who's now back, we know Ced Tillman and concussion protocol. We talked Dustin Hopkins. I mean, tell me, no, I feel like the Browns are pretty good with the injuries right now.
Given everything, yeah. I mean, the guys that they have, we'll see if Tillman's able to clear the protocol. Amari Cooper's not going to have any setbacks or anything like that. I don't think so. He'll probably be. I mean, I know he rested yesterday for practice. He'll probably be out there today, and then be 100% there for Saturday. And yeah, like you said, the guys that are on the active roster, they're getting a little healthier. Again, if you look at the IR, it's still like holy crap, like kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, they're getting guys back, guys getting healthier. They had the opportunity to rest last week. So that really helped. It did. So we'll see. Shelby Harris looks like he's fine after getting dinged up on Sunday in Cincinnati with the shin injury. Don't think that'll be any sort of question. He'll be in there. So yeah, the guys that you got, they're good. They're getting healthier, and they'll give you the best chance to win Saturday.
Noah Weisskopf joining us, following Browns with Noah, Twitter and Instagram, of course, part of the OBR family over there. Noah, I thought it was interesting to hear a lot from Kevin Stefanski about not facing C.J. Stroud in that game they played a couple weeks ago. Stefanski called him awesome and said he really is not playing like a rookie quarterback. What do you think about the fact the Browns didn't see him? I mean, that would have to lean towards the Browns defense having that edge because they are so good. Just your thoughts on the Browns and they didn't see Stroud a couple of weeks ago.
I mean, I think that this question is really just completely based on CJ Stroud and how amazing he has been. Like, Kevin Stefanski's right. When you watch a game, if you watch the Colts-Texans game last Saturday night, he looked like a 10-year NFL veteran. Like, he did not give you any reason to believe he's a rookie. And I think that also goes to show with the sort of rankings and who Browns fans wanted to play. There's no reason that the Texans were 1 or 2 on that list. They probably should have been last, the team that you'd rather not see, best of the worst kind of thing. I mean, Kevin Stefanski's 10-0 against the AFC South. So you're gonna give your guys a great shot to win as is. But yeah, playing a guy like CJ Stroud and DeMeco Ryans, both who are rookies, but also doing so much in their rookie year that it's almost like these guys have been together for 3 years and they look really, really good. And the throws that CJ makes, getting the ball out that quick, the Browns pass rush, they're going to have to find ways to get to CJ really quick. I know that their offensive line isn't the best, so you're going to have to, sort of use that and get to him and try to rattle him a little bit. But he's such a great quarterback.
I also look at Nico Collins, and I don't want to just make this as a blanket statement, Noah. If you can stop Nico Collins, but I do feel that way. Like, Devin Singletary's fine. Schultz, we know Noah Brown was injured. But, man, I look at it and seeing what he did against us, even with Case Keenum, I'd double him I'd say stop Nico Collins, and if you're going to lose this game, you do it with somebody else beating you. Do you feel the same, and how worried are you about Nico Collins having that repeat performance against us?
Yeah, the thing for me is, look, going into the season, if I were to tell you Nico Collins would be a wide receiver one on a playoff team, you would be shocked, right? And so that, I mean, gratitude, everything goes to CJ Stroud and what he's been able to do with that. But like any receiver, it feels like CJ Stroud can make that guy, to me. So, but yeah, I mean, Nico Collins is a huge target. He's a really talented receiver, and so if you're able to slow him down, that leaves guys like Noah Brown, Dalton Schultz at tight end, and Devin Singletary out of the backfield. And like looking at this offense on paper, you're not scared at all. But the reason and the thing that makes you scared, again, the main topic here is CJ Stroud and what he's been able to do.
When you think about other keys for this game, though, when I look at it, either Browns offense versus their defense, we talked a lot of our defense versus their offense. Is there something that really stands out to you for this matchup?
It's the offensive line. It's the game's going to be one up front, and the Browns have that, or at least on the Browns defense, they have that edge against the Texans offensive line. Outside of Laramie Tunsil, they've been not so great. I know that they're playing a couple backups. Like, you're going to be able to take advantage of that. But then looking on the other side of the ball, it's something I highlighted going in, and why you probably shouldn't want to play the Texans is they're getting healthier. Will Anderson's back. They're going to see if they can get Jonathan Greenard back, who's a really good edge rusher as well. So those two guys on the Browns' fourth and fifth tackles, I know we keep talking about it. You get your three interior guys back, which is nice. But, on the outside, that's what worries me a little bit. And if you start to get Flacco rattled back there, get him hit a couple times, you really don't know what's going to happen. But, I think ultimately it comes down to, is Flacco able to not turn the ball over? Are you able to play a clean game? Because in my eyes, if the Browns can play a clean game, turnover free, it's going to be hard for another team to beat them.
Big picture stuff. Noah Weiskopf joined us from the OBR. Jim Schwartz. I thought it was so interesting that the Panthers are going with this. We're just going to tell everybody who we're trying to interview and try like the most transparency. I guess they need some clicks for their website, but don't we all? So, like, the fact that his name has not been circled around, we all agree we can't lose Jim Schwartz. He's meant everything to this defense. He's been one of the best hires the Browns have made since they returned. I feel positive, that I really have not heard his name getting thrown around. What have you heard about it? Is it just maybe he's not super interested, or other teams not super interested? He doesn't fit the mold of what teams are looking for in a new head coach. I mean, I hate to say it, but I think it's positive that nobody wants him to be their head coach at this point anyway.
Yeah, I think it's kind of positive for the Browns. I think Jim Schwartz, if he was given that opportunity, then he would take it. He would go interview, try his best to get another head coaching job. He said that's what he wanted to do, and you can't really blame the guy. But, looking at it, I don't anticipate him getting a head coaching job, especially this offseason. And that's for a matter of different reasons, but that's not really what NFL teams are looking for. NFL teams, first of all, are looking for that next premier offensive guy, the young head coach, the up-and-comer, the Ben Johnsons of the world. They're looking for those next great offensive minds. And not only is he a defensive-minded head coach, but he's also sort of an experienced guy. He's had a head coaching job before. So it doesn't really make too much sense for especially some of the teams that have the openings, those Ben Johnsons and whoever else might be, those younger offensive-minded guys seem to be the ones who are getting head coaching jobs and doing really well with them. I mean, look at Kevin Stefanski and what the Browns hired with him. He was a young head coach. They're going to make him a head coach and an offensive mind. So it's, Jim Schwartz, I think that Cleveland's probably the perfect fit, especially right now. And I'd be shocked if he got a head coaching job this offseason.
Still feel good about Miles winning DPOY. I've kind of flipped. No, I don't know why. And I know Watt's out and he's not going to play, but I don't know. Do you still think? I mean, Coach Stefanski seems like he's going to win Coach of the Year. I don't really think there's an issue on that. But what do you think about the Defensive Player of the Year for Myles Garrett?
Yeah, it's so hard to say because, I hear national media guys sort of talking on TV and like, yeah, your Defensive Player of the Year is Myles Garrett, and just keep moving on like it's not even a question. So it's kind of confusing, honestly. But I really don't know. I mean, I think that, a guy like TJ Watt, like, gives him a real challenge here in winning it. But I really don't think that, at least now, that that's on his mind. I think that that's just going to come when it is. And I don't think that. Yeah, it's hard to say if I think he should win it or not. Right? Those advanced stats tell you he's that dominant. He didn't play the last week of the season, which I think in the end of this whole thing could end up hurting him a little bit. I'm going to be honest, but I think it was still the right move. But I can't say I'd be shocked if he won it. I think the bigger question is Flacco a lock for comeback player of the year?
Yeah, that's
Or are we
another
still
one.
going to give
Yeah.
that to DeMar Hamlin?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's the thing. You can't discredit it with DeMar Hamlin of everything that happened. Like, I had somebody tell me they should do like a separate award for him. Like, there should be some recognition for that, and then come. I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, how important is that award? I don't know.
I heard that, and I also heard to do comeback player of the year.
Yeah, that's fine. I listen to that. Yeah, I mean, at that point, then people, if you really want to get critical, be like, hey, this guy's playing well. This guy came back from, cardiac arrest on the field.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
We'll
All right,
see.
final thing, I want to do with it. Let's run through all the games. Just give me your winner here. Dolphins Chiefs. Who you got? At -12 for that game. What it's supposed to be at Arrowhead.
Give me the Dolphins, honestly.
Really? Wow.
The Chiefs have not. To me, they haven't looked like the Chiefs, obviously. And if you're able to stop Travis Kelce, I mean, literally put 2 people on him, follow 2 people on him the entire game. And Mahomes, I think they overestimated the what their receivers could possibly do. Like they literally
put too
can't
much
do
on
anything.
him. And then they were like, dude, take these guys that aren't very good and make them good. It's like, okay, they're really bad. And there's
Right.
only so much that Mahomes can do.
Exactly. And so, I kind of feel for Mahomes, but, I think that they'll probably make a splash or two. They see what's going on in the offseason. But for this, I mean, give me Miami going into Arrowhead.
I don't want to tell you a stat that I heard that it's not good. Dolphins are 0-14 in their last 14 games played under 32 degrees. So,
Yeah,
they got to buck that trend eventually, I guess, right? No, they got to win.
And not to mention that they're really just not able to get the winning teams. They're not able to beat. And I always, at least for me, kind of want them to prove it wrong, because to me, it's like they're a good team. They have a lot of talent. I know they're really injured on defense, but they just signed a couple veteran guys. But yeah, I think that they'll go in there and beat Kansas City. But it's going to be a great game.
Upset alert there for the Bills. Or you think they'll take care of the Steelers on a 10-point spread in the playoffs? Wow.
Unbelievable. Yeah, give me Buffalo. I don't think that, especially without TJ Watt. Yeah.
I like the Packers to cover 7, Noah, but I don't know if they'll win. It is in Dallas. What do you like, Packers, Cowboys?
Yeah, give me Dallas. I think that there's a chance that they blow the top off of that one.
A lot of people like the Rams on an upset against the Leons. Of course, Stafford going back. Home game tickets are through the roof. Rams-Lions.
I think this is going to be the best game of the weekend. Give me Detroit.
Oh, okay. All right.
Too much talent.
Eagles should take care of the Bucs.
I think this is going to be potentially your biggest upset. I think that Tampa Bay at home,
Ryan likes it.
Philadelphia has not been playing well.
Oh, no,
They've
not
been
at all.
losing games. Let me take an upset here. Give me Tampa Bay.
All right. I like it. No, we really appreciate you, man. Browns No on Twitter. We're going to talk to you next week after a playoff win, okay?
Sounds good to me.
Damn straight. Noah Weisskopf joining us, OBR. Appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks for having me.
We'll talk to Noah next week no matter what. I just want to do it after a win. I don't want to do it after a loss. We'll talk to Noah next week from the OBR. Always appreciate his time there. Grant Delpit coming back. Didn't even see that. We're too busy doing our Browns history there. So Delpit, it's been announced he is back, returning off IR. I do have to say this in the fact of that it still doesn't mean that he's going to play. It just means that he's been activated. But I would imagine they were only doing it if he was going to give it a go this weekend, right?
Yeah.
He's going to
obviously
practice today. Yeah.
That's huge news for the Browns. I mean, even if we can just get him back, assuming we beat Houston for the divisional round, that would be huge. And I mean, you know what? It's not the end of the world if you can't go, right? We saw Ronnie Hickman. I think, Matt, I saw a stat. He was like the highest graded rookie week 17 or week 16, and then like the highest graded rookie for like week 17. So he's been playing really well.
That he has, and they filled in well back there, even with Juan Thornhill, who shockingly, man, dude, Juan Thornhill has missed some time this year. A lot of time. And you sign him to that multi-year. I feel good. Like, I feel really good about the Browns safeties for the next couple of years with it being Thornhill and Grant Delpit. But, yeah, man, that's a lot of time that you missed from those guys.
Yeah.
But getting Delpit back has been absolutely that's great. I think that is really something that the Browns needed. You know, with Noah talking about the kicking situation, and back to our poll question, we'll get to Vrabel in hour 2. I know I've been circling this Mike Vrabel stuff. We'll get to that coming up. But, I mean, it's a level of concern. I think you're right, Ryan. There's no way that any of us can. Got to be something there. So to update our Twitter question this morning, what's your concern level of the Browns kicking situation not having Dustin Hopkins? 62% of people say they're a little concerned, 21% are extremely, 16% are not concerned at all.
If you're saying not concerned, I mean, kudos to you.
I get that's the ultimate positivity.
That's crazy to me. If you've been watching the Browns for even just the last 5 years, I mean, to say you're not concerned in the slightest, I don't know how I could possibly feel that way.
Yeah. Can we get to Stefanski sound? I want to play this a little bit later. We'll do it here now. Because I asked Noah about not facing C.J. Stroud in this game. That edge very clearly has got to go to the Cleveland Browns. And I liked what Noah said about you're still facing a rookie head coach and a rookie quarterback. Now, I like DeMeco Ryans. I think everybody does. This is still his first playoff game as a head coach. Now, the difference is they're playing with house money, right? If they get smoked on Saturday, people will still be like, we're on the right path, and this has been above expectations for this year, and Stroud and Ryans to the moon, right? I get that. But there's still pressure in your first game. Here's Kevin Stefanski yesterday talking about, first off, facing C.J. Stroud.
He's awesome. I remember watching him early, Tom, because we had some crossover tape and getting ready to play Baltimore. I know he played in that was his first game. And I think even in that game, you saw some plays and some throws where you knew right away that kid was really, really talented. And you know, I know the state has seen him play quite a bit. So he's a very talented young man.
Sometimes coaches do that to inflate a little bit of ego, get the guy talking a little bit. I think that's Kevin Stefanski being really truthful to say that this guy is special. You see the throws that he makes, and you got to get after him. Now, the other question to Kevin Stefanski yesterday, what does it factor in, and is there any edge to one team or the other for the fact of that you just played the Texans a couple of weeks ago? Here's Kevin Stefanski sound yesterday, courtesy of the Browns.
Both ways. It really does. You know, it's unique having played them just a couple weeks ago. You know, go back to 2020, playing Pittsburgh back-to-back weeks. I mean, those are unique because there's not much new tape coming in. There's a couple games that you can watch and see maybe what adjustments and things that they're doing differently from that first matchup. But it is certainly unique, but I don't think it gives either side an advantage.
I mean, the thing for Stroud would be, yes, all you have is tape on C.J. Stroud, which, again, for a lot of quarterbacks, that's all you get. It would have been nice to see him. But I'd still lean towards this defense and what Jim Schwartz is going to do, and what is he going to scheme up to make things really hard for C.J. Stroud. The playoffs, you hear Coach Stefanski even say this, they're like a second season, right? It's like a completely different season where you got to dance with who brung you. You got to go with what you have done all year. But you got to reinvent yourself. You got to make some little changes once you get here, and especially if it's a team that you have seen before. And I say that for how the Browns defense can operate against C.J. Stroud, and I say the same thing for how Joe Flacco has got to operate against this defense who did see him. There's got to be that twist. There has got to be that little bit of a change on how you're going to do things, and that gives an edge to a team with a coach that's already been in the playoffs. You got players that have already been. But I don't want to discredit DeMeco Ryans as a guy that was in San Francisco while they were winning a lot of playoff games. And he's been through it. It's just a little different now because he's the head coach. It's intriguing. It's intriguing. And I think the NFL likes that. I think they like having these teams that have played one another. You've got a little bit of drama. I think it creates better football. It does. When you have familiarity against that team, the chess match really starts there. And the NFL likes that because that's better games. What they want all weekend long are one-score football games. People are going to watch more. They're going to stick around to see the end of the game. They don't want blowouts. And for the most part, outside of probably 2 games, you are lined up to have what should be pretty close games. And even then, I still think the Steelers might cover against the Bills. We'll get to our picks on Friday, though, coming up. They like that. That's how the NFL has set this up. That's why they like it the way that they do and how it's seeded this way. They love having, even Ryan, because the Browns' opponents are set for next year with how the NFL schedule plays out. And ironically, with Miami losing that game on Sunday to Buffalo, they fell to number 2 in the division. We faced the Miami Dolphins instead of the Buffalo Bills. They set it up that way because they want playoff teams playing each other in the regular season. For the regular season TV rating, sure, but they also do that so you have a little taste of who this team is when you face them in the playoffs. Make no mistake, the NFL likes Sunday and Monday Night Football and great games there. They make their money in the playoffs. And I saw the report yesterday. Thank you, Taylor Swift, for this. This was the highest viewership the NFL had since 2015. This was the most viewed season since 2015. You had the drama. Yes, you had T Swift involved too. But it's mostly about you had a lot of storylines with some teams. Now you get to the playoffs, and people are intrigued about, is Jalen Hurts back? What are the Eagles going to do? What's going on with Patrick Mahomes? But you got a bunch of teams that saw each other, at least in some level, because that's how the schedule plays out in the NFL. They got what they wanted. Yeah, they got what they wanted.
I think you can make a real argument that this Browns-Texans first-round matchup in the wild card weekend is really the best matchup.
I will tell you, I think it might be the most evenly matched game.
And I would just, from a standpoint of, they're two teams, well, different for the Texans, right? Because they haven't been here nearly as long as the Browns.
Yeah.
But they're two teams.
Well, you go back to the Oilers. Yeah.
Right. So, the newest team in the NFL, right?
Do you know about that history? You're talking about history?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I'll go through every team's 2.5 hour history.
It'll
eventually.
be fun. Yeah, we should do it.
But, right, you have Joe Flacco coming off the couch, a former Super Bowl MVP, facing a rookie who was 11 years old when Joe Flacco won that Super Bowl MVP. And like I said, two teams with unsuccessful track records in the playoffs. Certainly the Texans yet to reach an AFC championship game in their history. So I think it's a great game. And the Texans have a chance to be one of the more popular fan bases there in Mexico too. So
Yeah.
I think it's really good for the NFL that these teams are meeting up here in the playoffs.
Certainly. And again, you see other games, you go, okay, that might be a blowout. You would believe that the Dolphins and Chiefs will be close, but I think that's going to be close because of the weather. Yeah. And I'd love to sit down with Raj Goodell and slip him a nice little whiskey and go, Raj, do you really want every team just to play in a dome? I'd love to hear what he would say. Because these games are fun for us to watch, but is it really I don't know. I'd love to hear his thoughts on that. Because we love snow games and that, but once you're into the playoffs, I've heard this from people, Ryan, and it'll never happen. And somebody said this to me years ago, and it's really kind of loony, but it is, that the playoffs should all be played at neutral sites and they should all be domes. And everybody goes, that's bull crap. You're going to miss out on a home playoff game.
Yeah.
And the whole point was people will still travel. It would actually create more money for the NFL because as you travel, you would have an equal and again, you're going to sell out the stadium, but the thing is the ticket prices will go up because there's going to be equal amount of people, and you'll get the best football because you're in a dome. Now, that was before this whole grass turf debate either, too, which is the whole other thing about it, too. Did you see that video of the Raiders grass for their final game?
It looked like LeBron's head.
Ryan! That was a good one. That was a good shot. That was. Because you are actually so right.
I swear I just thought of that, too. I should have tweeted that.
You should have. There's still time. That end zone, it looked like the field I played on in 7th grade, just barren, just no grass, and then they just paint over it like, oh yeah, it'll make it look
like
better.
The polo grounds.
Yeah. Oh, now I can't stop thinking about poor LeBron. Then there's that other video where he was just incessantly
brushing
his hair.
He was angry brushing his head.
Poor Bron. And I know, obviously, if you've seen some of the movies, he's had things done to his hair and all that kind of stuff. Maybe it's just time to let it go. I don't know. It's LeBron's decision. Poor Bron. Got a hell of a beard.
It looked like Kevin Durant's head. I'll say that.
Kevin Durant's bad. Kevin Durant needs to let it go.
Yeah, he's got to shave his
head. It's Manu Ginobili level distraction. Remember when Manu, before he shaved his head? that was bad. That was bad. Durant really, and trust me, it is what it is. But yeah, there we go. All right, morning update coming your way next. We'll get to all the stories. I do want to talk Vrabel in hour 2. I'm just going to tell everybody this. I'm shutting down this Vrabel to Ohio State thing right now. Well, not right now. We'll do it in 15 minutes. I'm going to shut down this Vrabel to Ohio State thing. I have a couple of things that I believe are true, and that's why Mike Vrabel is not going to be finding his way to Columbus. We'll get to that coming up. We'll still wait to see what's going on with Harbaugh. Got a lot coming up in hour 2. But folks, our boost with Tipico is up. So I have now learned, young Ryan, that there are multiple places that you can find boosts. So what I would do is if we were doing a game boost, I would just go to the game. Oh, no. You just go to the homepage on Tipico, and you will see Ohio trending bets. And I scroll on over, and I find our big play boost for tonight. We're going to do college basketball. We are going to do all the Ohio teams tonight. Ohio State minus 1.5 against Wisconsin. Wright State minus 5.5 against Robert Morris. And Youngstown State minus 4.5 against Purdue Fort Wayne. That is boosted to plus 816.
Wow.
Put my wager in it right now, folks. Get signed up with Tipico, code Fontana100. So what you doing? Get this primed up and ready to go for the playoffs if you haven't already. New customers, sign up with Tipico, download the app. When you deposit and bet $25 on whatever you want, you will get $100 in bonus bets. And then hopefully you win your $25 bet and you're off to a good rate. I mean, that's just starting your bankroll. That's just starting your nice little bankroll there. And you're doing it with code Fontana100. You get that $100, you can bet, deposit wherever you want to go. I love the boosts, which is where it's at. And my new favorite thing, the flex parlay. So what you do on a flex parlay, let me explain this to everybody real quick. And you can't do it on the boost because the boosts are just, they're predetermined and all that. But here's what you do. All right, let's go to a game tonight, Ryan. I'm just going to do Timberwolves Celtics tonight. And I'm just going to make up a parlay right here. All right. I'm going to go Jason Tatum over 4.5 assists. I'm going to go Anthony Edwards to score 20-plus points. I'm going to go Jaylen Brown over 1.5 threes. Player points. Let me give me another player here and there. Rebounds. You want to do rebound? Whatever. I'm just throwing this together, right? So I come out with a 4-leg parlay that is plus 693. Now, if I want to flex parlay that, you can choose to just either have 2 or 3 of those things hit in the parlay. There's lesser odds with it, certainly, but you need 3 out of 4. It's like a round robin. Any of those 3 that hit, and you cash. Can't go broke with a win.
Could have used that when the Eagles choked.
Right. You go with the flex parlay. Dude, this is like my new favorite thing. This is so great. It's up on Tipico. Check it out. It's great. It's really, I think they just revealed this too. I know they were playing with it for a little bit, but it's up and going. Build a parlay right here. Flex parlay. Get it rolling there. Check it out with our friends at Tipico. And the new cashback rewards have launched. And you can get rewards for however much you bet. Even if you win, I love it. Tipico is the app, folks. They're so great. Again, Fontana100 is the code when you sign up. Deposit bet $25, and you get $100 in bonus bets. Terms and conditions apply. Get a gambling problem. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Let's get to the morning update when we return, and I got to shoot down Vrabel going to Columbus. That's all coming up next. Fontana Show right here on Big Play. let's get to it. The morning update as we get geared up for a big weekend. I feel like, dude, this is like Cavs are tomorrow night. Friday. All right, we'll get through it, and then just the weekend of football. So I feel like, right on the precipice of getting to our good weekend of football. Everything coming up. Cavs tomorrow night. We got our boost for tonight with Tipico. Let's kick things off with the morning update. Ryan, all the stories we got to know.
Well, some good news for the Browns this morning. Really, less than an hour ago, Grant Delpit off the IR. Not positive yet that he's going to suit up and play against Houston, but very good news for the Cleveland Browns, and he has a chance to play for us in the wild card weekend.
Absolutely, and you've had Ronnie Hickman play to an incredible level. D'Anthony Bell has played well. You need Grant Delpit out there. And these stories are great, and you feel good about those guys getting some reps, but you would like Grant Delpit to be out there for this game. And I would imagine that this is for him to be able to suit up. And even if it's you suit up and you're on a snap count or something like that, that's fine. But all signs are pointing towards him playing, so that's great. Sucks about Dustin Hopkins, I'm sure we'll get to, but still, getting Delpit back, massive for the Browns this weekend. And also, it helps Jim Schwartz get back to a little bit of normalcy. I think this has kind of been forgotten a little bit on the changes that he has had to make with that defense, with some of his guys rotating in and out. Anthony Walker out, Delpit out. Earlier, some of the corners that missed. I think that changed a lot for Jim Schwartz. So that's yet another piece to the puzzle for Jim Schwartz to get back to doing what he wants to do on this defense with Delpit getting back. Great news. I love it. Awesome.
Matt, doesn't it just feel good to have a strong, healthy coaching staff that we don't have to worry about? I'm
nice.
Sure they wish they could say the same in New York. Giants defensive coordinator Wink Martindale cursed out Brian Daboll over firing.
Did that really happen?
The New York Post reported that Martindale said his piece, got up, slammed the door, and walked out of the building after Giants fired outside linebackers coach Drew Wilkins and defensive assistant Kevin Wilkins. Both Wilkins had come over with Martindale from Baltimore, and Drew Wilkins was considered to be Martindale's right-hand man.
So then you go to other teams where Doug Peterson said the whole defensive staff goes. Everybody got fired on that defensive side of the football. Yeah, I can see why Wink Martindale's upset, because what you would think is you sit down with them and say, hey, we kind of want to make these moves. What are your thoughts on it? But Brian Daboll's the head coach. It's his decision. And now they're still waiting. What ex-girlfriend or ex-boyfriend level is it? Well, I hope he comes back. He slammed the door and told you to go blank yourself. And you're like, well, I hope he comes back. I know the NFL is full of egos, and a lot of those guys don't get to the position that they're in without having one. I guess everybody's got an ego to a point, but heads clash. I would assume that Wink Martindale is not going to come back. I don't know on that. Maybe cooler heads will prevail. Plus, you got to think about contracts. How much money is he leaving on the table? I don't know. But yeah, that's kind of a shady thing to do when it's his side of the football, coaches that he brought in with them, and you fire them, it sounds like, without his knowledge, right?
I would assume so if he was that upset over it.
That pissed about it. Or maybe this was them. Maybe this was just the meeting to tell him that this is what they were going to do. I don't know. Keep Jim Schwartz away from it. Keep him here in Cleveland. But it is something to be said about this carousel that we've seen it over years, don't get me wrong, and we've participated over years. You know what? I'm going to say this, but I feel like I say this every year. This is one of the crazier years for coaching. This is one of the crazier coaching carousels. Now, all that being said, I feel like that happens every year. Every year we sit there and say, a lot of coaching openings or a lot of moves and a lot of this and that. I guess I feel like that happens a lot, but we'll see. It's a crazy story. You don't worry. And the Browns dealt with that. Kyle Shanahan with the PowerPoint telling the Browns why they suck and leaving. Giants, do you feel really good about the Giants? I don't.
Absolutely not. How can you? Daniel Jones, you just threw him cash.
If I'm Saquon Barkley, dude, get out of there. I know he said things about
Baltimore. Sorry, Matt.
I wish I would have retired, in New York. He's out of there. I'd get the hell out of there if I was him, but at least it's not us. To your exact point, at least it's not us.
Well, I got to imagine there's a new biggest #1 Taylor Swift fan in the world, and that's got to be one Mr. Roger Goodell. Yes. Why? Because the NFL experienced the Taylor Swift effect. NFL averages 17.9 million viewers in 2023. That's up 7% from the previous year.
You can't understate that impact. How can you not? That you got into a market that there was no other way to do it except for this happening. And I don't believe in conspiracy theories that they were matched up, or there are people that are around both of them saying like, no, this is true, this is legit. They really, care for each other and they're together and all this. But that was the NFL and their big corporate building in New York. They have meetings to talk about where do we need to get into, right? They don't need to worry about NFL fans. There are groups of people that are diehard NFL fans. They'll watch every weekend. They'll buy jerseys. They'll go to games. Now they go, okay, we'll get international on this. We'll go to this area. We're going to go to this spot now. We're going to try. But there's a level, a group of people that are not sports fans. That is the barrier to try to break down. People that don't even give a damn about the NBA or NHL or nothing. And the NFL got that done. They got into a group of people, and I'm painting with a broad brush here. I'm sure there are plenty of Taylor Swift fans that are also NFL fans, but I'm saying they tapped a resource here that was untappable. And it was also with, I think, maybe the only person that you could have done this with. If you did this with Katy Perry, do you see the same result? No. It was literally only Taylor Swift. And make no mistake, if she was dating somebody on the Washington Commanders, this would be a little bit different. It worked out that it's Travis Kelce. He's on one of the best teams. He's a likable guy. He's very face forward. People know who he is. It was a perfect storm for the NFL. It absolutely was. But also that the NFL packages and the game, I really think the games are getting better. I think you're in a place now where, yeah, you're always going to have your crappy teams, but you got a lot of good quarterbacks. You got a lot of good teams out there. Viewership is going to continue to grow. It will.
Matt, do you remember who I said I thought the best coach in the NBA was?
I'm trying to think who you would say. You didn't say it would not be Joel Mazzulla?
No.
Eric Spoelstra.
Eric Spoelstra.
Oh, that's right, the deal.
The Miami Heat must feel the same. Why? Because they give him a record 8-year, $120 million extension. That is the most committed money in North American coaching history.
You go to a guy and say, we trust you. Like, this is now almost to you are going to run the Miami Heat basketball. And I know Pat Riley is still there, but this is all of our eggs are in the basket of Eric Spoelstra. And when he leaves, he'll probably go to some executive role. And it's also, don't forget this, that there's a track record going on there of everything that he's done. But there's probably also a belief in Spoelstra himself that if it goes bad, he's going to call it. You know what I mean? Like, you can't give that money to somebody that eventually you might need to sit down 4 years from now and go, dude, you can't coach this team anymore. That they would realize it themselves. You know what I mean? And kind of figure out, okay, it's time for me to move to this executive role or make this change. Part of those discussions had to be had, but it's just a belief that they have in Eric Spoelstra. And I frankly think it's the smart thing to do with a lot of teams, right? Where you need a collective of people, sure. But you also sometimes need to be, this is the person that we are tying our franchise to. They're smart, they know what they're doing, and we're going to believe in them. For the Cleveland Browns, I think that they have the collective. I think it is Paul DePodesta. Well, really, if you had to pick one, it's Paul DePodesta. He's made all these moves, and it's worked out well. It's not a bad thing to find that person. The question is, if it goes bad, what are you going to do then?
Incoming fine, signed, sealed, and delivered for Raptors head coach Darko Rakovic. Hopefully I pronounced that right. After he goes off on the NBA refs post-game because the Lakers shot an immense 23 free throws in the fourth quarter, and I believe the Raptors only got about 2. If you saw anything on Twitter NBA last night, it was all about that game, Matt. And it seems like every year, kind of like how you talked about the coaching carousel, it just seems like this year officiating in all sports has just been pretty awful.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I had a nice little parlay in the name. Let's go, here we go, all right, now. I mean, the thing is, okay, you're angry because, Ryan, the crazy thing about that game is they combined for 86 points in the fourth quarter. 86 points were scored in that fourth quarter, which is insane. I kind of believe him because the Lakers suck, and they were on this losing streak.
NBA didn't like
I kind
that.
of buy it. And then also, what came out yesterday? Pascal Siakam is pretty sure he's not going to be playing for the Raptors in 6 weeks. I'd listen to it. Sure. What do you think is the harder job? NFL officiating or NBA officiating? Baseball officiating or umpiring is not hard.
Yeah.
I will tell you, it's not hard. It really is. That's why Angel Hernandez is just insane, because it's not really that hard of a job to do. But anyway.
I would off the top of the dome, I would think NBA, given that it's kind of more fast-paced. Refs are always moving, and it's kind of harder. I don't know. You have a call pretty much way more often than any other sport.
Sure.
So initially, I'd lean NBA.
Yeah, I could listen to that very much too. But yeah, I mean, when you have that discrepancy that late in the game and you lose, you're going to be angry like that. It happens. It happens. But yeah, officiating, I don't understand why everybody, we've got the cameras, we've got the technology, use it. Don't be afraid of it, use it. That's what I think the NFL should do. I think that's what the NBA should do. But they won't. I don't know why, but they won't.
All right, Matt. Well, last bit of morning update news here, and it's going to go right into your next segment. Your floor is yours, Mr. Fontana. Let's talk Vrabel.
So first off, great stuff in the morning update this morning. So Mike Vrabel fired in Tennessee. I start with that being a bit of the shock, because I thought he would have left. And I don't know the contract situation. I don't know the money and how that all kind of played out. Then it comes out that Amy Adams, Bud Adams' daughter, who was the owner of the team, didn't want to try to trade Vrabel because they wanted to move quickly on this, which I think is another crazy, insane thing. Regardless, here's the conversation. Mike Vrabel is now available. Is everybody paying attention right now? Mike Vrabel's not going to Columbus this year. That's not happening. There's no way. For a couple of reasons. Number one, I don't think they're firing Ryan Day this offseason. If they were going to do it, they would have done it. Does Mike Vrabel actually change things for you in that conversation? It very possibly could. But now I get to point number two. I don't think Mike Vrabel wants to go to college. Why would he? Seriously. If you are a professional coach that has the option between the NFL or college, why would you mess with college right now? It's a blank storm. Portal, NIL, conference movement. Well, Jim Harbaugh. Here's my thing. There are coaches in the NFL and in college. They're either one or the other. And I have a lot of examples of why I feel that way. Now, you scream who? Pete Carroll, Nick Saban, and Jim Harbaugh. In my opinion, it is still clear as day. Nick Saban, let me start with Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll is a professional football coach. His career, up until going to take that USC job, was all in the pros. He went to USC. They had a short stretch of success. Back to the pros. He's a professional coach that just happened to mess around in college a little bit. Nick Saban started his career at Kent State, Syracuse, West Virginia, Ohio State, Navy, Michigan State, dabbled in the pros, Toledo, dabbled with the Browns, back to Michigan State, LSU, Miami, which was a disaster, and back to Alabama. Nick Saban is a college coach that just dabbled in the NFL. Jim Harbaugh, in my opinion, is a college coach that just happened to dabble in the NFL. Mike Vrabel is a pro coach that just happened to dabble in college. And I think these guys realize those are where our lanes are at. Now, Jim Harbaugh flipping back, and again, I'd be wary of him going to the pros. I would be. I'd stay away from it. People forget when he was in San Francisco, yeah, you went to the Super Bowl, but he left that place. He wore out his welcome so fast. The reason it's so different is because college and pro football is so different. And I could look at Cliff Kingsbury and Matt Rule and any of these other guys that have tried to make the jump from college. It never works. Seriously, it never works. And when I say that to people, and I'm talking about recent, don't go back to Paul Brown, okay? I'm not talking about that when he was coaching Denison or Ohio State and then came up to the pros. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about recently. Find me a college guy that's had success in the pros. If you say Pete Carroll, I will not listen to that. Pete Carroll was a pro coach who dabbled in college and came back to the pros. That doesn't count. You want to say Jim Harbaugh? Sure, fine, okay. And I will give you all these other examples of guys that don't work. It is too different. And coaches and former players, I think, realize you got to pick one. The in-between does not work. Chip Kelly. Okay, sure. He's a college coach that dabbled in the pros, had moderate success a little bit. He's back to college because he knows that's his lane. He knows that's where he's meant to be. And I will wait to see if Jim Harbaugh is the guy that can buck that trend. But Ryan, I'm jumping on this. I believe this to the nth degree. There are guys that are meant to coach college. There are guys that are meant to coach pro, and you very rarely get to blur those lines. You very rarely get to go back and forth. And in my opinion, Mike Vrabel is a professional football coach. I would think that is where he leans. Did he go to Ohio State for a little bit? Sure, maybe to help out the alma mater. But my thing, and I'm not Mike Vrabel. I have less touchdowns in the Super Bowl. Why would you want to go there? Oh, to save his alma mater, to get all this kind of money. What kind of headache are you signing up for to go there? And I'm not even talking about the state of the Buckeyes. It got better with this transfer portal stuff. I guess I just say that, man, if you had the option, why would you go to college? Why?
Matt, you want some stats?
Please.
So since 2000, college to NFL coaches.
Oh, I love this. Please, thank you. Yes.
There's just 2 coaches that are above 500 in career win percentage.
Jim Harbaugh.
Right. Can you give me the other one?
Okay, since 2000.
This guy got it by the skin of his teeth.
And they had a winning professional record?
But he's not regarded as a good coach by any means. Head coach, I should say.
It's not Chip Kelly.
No.
It's not Matt Rule.
No.
It's not Saban.
No.
Whew.
I know. I wouldn't have thought this guy did. But like I said, by the skin of his teeth.
Oh, is it Lovie Smith?
No.
Oh, damn. Damn, I thought I had that with Lovie. Damn it.
Well, no, but you could draw ties between.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. Damn, I thought I had with Lovie. Oh, man.
A 509. So like I said, barely by the skin of his teeth. He got.
So he's obviously
he basically lost his job after one of the worst trades, I think.
Oh, Bill O'Brien.
Yeah. Yeah. But okay,
okay.
Yeah.
And you want to know what? I'm glad because I was not bringing up Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien is one that has tried to muddy those waters. And in fact, in doing it, now what he did with Penn State, that's like after coming off the Sandusky scandal and what he was able to do there is pretty impressive. I think Bill O'Brien is a pro coach. Now, he's a horrible general manager, but I think Bill O'Brien is a pro coach. Yeah, he went down to Alabama to kind of redo his career a little bit there. I think Bill O'Brien's a pro coach.
And then the other ones, Nick Saban, Chip Kelly, Kingsbury, our old friend Butch Davis, Doug Maroney, Steve Spurrier, Greg Schiano, Matt Rule, Bobby Petrino, and lowly at the bottom, a guy we know very well.
Petrino,
Urban Meyer with a 1.54.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like that's again the muddying of those. How many of those guys just made my case that jumping between
they all went back to college.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. And there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. And I get that some people say they want to try it at the highest level and they want to see if they can do it. Plus, don't get me wrong, they're getting tens of millions of dollars to do it. I understand it. If I'm an NFL general manager, if I'm an NFL owner, if I'm counsel to anybody searching for a coach, stay the hell away from college. Leave those people. You stay away from Lincoln Riley. You stay away from Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin, look at that. Don't do it. That I think Vrabel's a pro coach. Plus, listen, I am a proud graduate of Baldwin Wallace College because it was college when I went there. It's now Baldwin Wallace University. And I love all jackets. I'm a jacket for life. Bro, I ain't sacrificing my career or anything to go back and help them. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like we do, media, right? And we're doing a great job with this, and I love my job, and I love big play, and I'm having a great time doing this. I am. And they come to me and they say, you have got to come save WBWC. It would pull at my heartstrings. It would, because I love that station. I love the people that are there. And it really has meant the world to me. But if it's not the right move for me in my career, if my career path is still to keep doing this, I'm sorry, you guys are going to have to figure that out on your own. You know what I mean? If Mike Vrabel, who's again, like people, all right, let me get critical here for a second too. People think just because that you graduated from Ohio State that you are too, like, you know, just brimming with Ohio State fandom and all that kind of stuff. Mike Vrabel might be pretty proud that he went to Ohio State, but still be like, yeah, guys, I'm not doing that. I'm good. And also, I'm sorry. Did Ohio State go 4-8 last year? Are they sitting at the bottom of the league? And this isn't about me trying to prop up Ryan Day or anything. Because I got this. All right, I want to go to a tweet, actually. Somebody sent me a tweet about this yesterday. Because I tweeted out that I saw no world that Mike Vrabel was going to go to Ohio State. Not you, but another Ryan Smith tweets me. And I said, am I the only one that thinks Vrabel to Ohio State is at a 0%? Whether or not Ryan Day deserves to get fired, I doubt what they will do with this offseason. And this other Ryan tweets, maybe your burner account, he goes, whether or not Ryan Day deserves to get fired, so if he doesn't deserve to get fired, you still think he's going to get fired? That's a weird take. And I tweeted him back, I go, Ryan, have you met Ohio State fans? They wanted him fired at halftime in the Michigan game. There is a giant contingent that want him fired. I am in the minority to say I don't think he should be fired. I frankly don't want him fired. Got to beat Michigan. I understand that. But I don't want him fired. But there's a giant group of people out there that do. And part of this is Vrabel. This is only going to intensify because people think that Vrabel is an option. Until I get anything else, until I get any little piece of he followed, again, I know he doesn't have social media, but like give me that he followed Ohio State on Twitter or he's made some sort of comment. No. Do you want to know another reason why you probably won't hear that? That hurts him in the NFL circle. If you start playing this Harbaugh game of, I might go or I might not go, as much as you think that doesn't help your situation, which again comes back to why I don't know why teams are infatuated with Jim Harbaugh. I really do not understand it. I think it's going to go exactly like it did San Fran. He's going to show up. You're going to get this team whipped into shape for a little bit. The team's going to start hating him and resenting him. And in 4 years, he's going to be out of there, walking out, and everybody's saying, don't hit the door in the ass on the way out. Get out of here. You're gone. You've worn out your welcome here. Well, Michigan, he went back there. Yeah, it's because it was Michigan. And they were borderline desperate. Now, it also paid off in the national championship on Monday night, sure. But think about that. He wants to leave. He's going to leave after all of that. If the alma mater thing was as big as some people make it out to be, Jim Harbaugh would not be leaving Michigan. He would not be. No way. But yet, he probably is. I can't buy it. I'd make a bet out there. Like, I truly do wish.
That'd be cool if you could bet that.
If I could bet this. I would put good money that Mike Vrabel's not coaching the Ohio State Buckeyes this year. I don't know what could happen next year in the future or anything like that. It's twofold. Number one, Ryan Day's not getting fired this offseason. And number two, Mike Vrabel I don't think wants to go back there. Both those things could change, especially, the other thing, this is going to, again, come off as a Ryan Day defender, which I'm not really, but whatever. You're going to really fire him after he got Will Howard and Judkins? Really?
Yeah, I don't think so. If you didn't bring that up, I was going to bring that up.
Yeah.
Like, I know it comes with the relative of success. There's obviously different programs, but like as a Bearcat fan, man, if I landed the number one transfer running back, like I would be to the moon. And now we're just still talking about this carousel of coaching.
I was critical of the Will. That's good. I'm not saying Will Howard sucks. I just was not ready to jump off the mountain and say this is the greatest thing that ever happened to Ohio State when they got Will Howard. They improved themselves this offseason a lot. They got a lot better. Ryan Day did that. And I know they just flipped that corner, too. This was a high school kid. And then Ohio State moved on from, I think, the safeties coach or the corners coach, and everybody's wondering what the hell went on there. Whatever. It's the nuanced stuff that gets into college recruiting and all that kind of stuff. But you got to give Ryan Day credit for getting Judkins and Howard in there. Can't get rid of them now. These guys will just turn around and go, oh, hey, man, we came here because of Ryan Day. I ain't buying it.
Before we hop into our break and time hop, Matt, are you feeling, can you call your Vrabel shot?
I'm sticking with the Chargers.
I like that. I do like that. I think that's a good fit.
Okay, just shot out of a cannon. We'll do this more when the season kind of wraps up. But I guess we should put it on the record here, too. Belichick, because now all this stuff, and I was going to get to it later, but all the stuff with him to the Falcons now, there's reported interest there. I think Belichick goes to the Falcons. I think Harbaugh goes to the Panthers. I think Vrabel goes to the Chargers. I think the Commanders hire somebody. I don't know who. Ben Johnson, Slowick. Maybe they just elevate Eric Bieniemy. And then what other job would be open? Oh, Tennessee needs one. They'll go Ben Johnson, Bobby Slowick, Mike McDonald, all these names that are getting thrown around there. But of the big names, I think Belichick's going to Atlanta. I think Vrabel's going to go to the Chargers. And I think Jim Harbaugh's going to go to the Carolina Panthers. I think the Panthers, because as bad as they are, I think that they are just going to throw an obscene amount of money at him.
So
and that's what they're going to have to do.
If you're Harbaugh, I guess they could write him a blank check. But if you're Harbaugh, do you necessarily want to go to a team where you really don't have any, they don't have any real future assets?
I'm glad you brought that up. Because one thing I could probably tell you about is Jim Harbaugh loves himself some Jim Harbaugh. And you know what he's going to say? Oh, I'll fix Bryce Young. I'll fix this. Right? Again, the Chargers are a much better opportunity. They're a much better team. But there could be an element of Jim Harbaugh saying, I want the challenge. And I'm not even saying that to be a snarky idiot. He really might want the challenge. And if you, again, get that blank check from Tepper, which all these owners got a lot of money. I get it. Spanos has got money too. But Tepper's got cash, man. He's got a lot of money. And is it out of the realm that he could give Jim Harbaugh $20 million a year? Something like that?
No.
There you go.
I'll call my shot.
How do you turn away from that?
I'm gonna say this is what I would not want to see, but what I think is gonna happen. I think Harbaugh is gonna go to the Chargers.
Yeah.
And then I think I like Vrabel in Atlanta.
Well, Vrabel to the Patriots is another, people, again, trying to draw these connections and stuff with Robert Kraft and all that.
I'd much rather go to Atlanta.
I would much rather just stay away from a place like that. I don't know, like Kraft or whatever. Could you see Robert Kraft showing up for Jim Harbaugh? I think that's not got any trouble. What if Kraft went all in to go get Jim Harbaugh and said, come up and coach this kind of legacy team?
You think Harbaugh would want to follow Bill?
Well, that's exactly the point. You don't ever want to be the guy that replaces the legend you want. But he is a guy that would be, I think he could handle that. You know what I mean? And also how Belichick finished out. That job is not as cursed as some people think just because of how Belichick finished it out. It'd be different if they kicked him out the door after a winning season or something like that. Everybody in New England's ready to go on Bill Belichick. So the new coach is going to have a little bit more of a leeway there than it would be if Belichick was being good, but I don't know. Again, it's nice for the Browns. Don't really have to worry about it. All right, let's do this. Let's catch our break. We come back. We'll jump in a time hop. We mentioned this earlier, 3 years ago today, one of the biggest days in Browns history with the playoff win, but I got other things we'll get to in time up. A couple of things NFL-wise I want to wrap up. We'll get to our bracket. We'll get to our Tipico boost. A lot coming up. Wrap up the show next. Stay with us. Big play. Next, we get into Time Hop, one of those joyous days in Cleveland Browns history. It seems so long ago. But Ryan, 3 years ago today, Browns, Steelers, wild card. 48-27. Browns get the win. First play over Roethlisberger's head. You score the touchdown. Baker Mayfield, 3 touchdowns on the evening. Roethlisberger, 4 touchdowns, but 4 interceptions. Kareem Hunt had 2 rushing touchdowns in that game. Landry Chubb and Hooper, all with receiving touchdowns in that game. One of my favorite games as being a Browns fan. Just on the start, again, the first snap, Pouncey right over his head, Roethlisberger crying on the sidelines. Oh, God, what a play. What a play. I'll give you $1,000. You name the 4 players that got the interceptions for the Browns this day, 2021.
Oh, God,
You
okay.
ain't gonna do it. I'm sorry. But go
Did
ahead,
Denzel get one?
No.
No?
I don't think Denzel played in that game.
You might have been right.
He was out, well, the COVID. So you had no Joe Bitonio, you had no Kevin Stefanski, and I do not see Denzel Ward in the box score.
Okay.
I don't think he played in that game.
Okay, yeah, no way I'm going to get this.
All right. Sheldrick Redwine,
Wow.
Sione Takitaki,
Okay, I could have got that one.
MJ Stewart.
Never would've
And
got
do you remember Porter Gustin?
I do. Never would have got that.
He got that interception, too. Those were the 4 picks for the Browns this day, 2021. I mean, that game was everything you smoked. Now you're saying it was 35-10 at half, and then all of a sudden they came out and tried to make it a game late, and then you finished it out with a couple of touchdowns there at the end. I think Kareem had one at the end, did he? Now to kind of ice it away. 48-37. 48-37, man. What a win. What a win for the Browns this day, 2021, to get that playoff win, the long-awaited one against the Pittsburgh Steelers this day, 2021.
A little coaching update from Adam Schefter.
Ooh.
But, Matt Eberflus officially expected to return for the 2024 season.
Not the move I would have made, but all right, you do what you want. All right, fine, fair enough. All right, we continue on this day, 2020. The Browns reportedly interviewed Josh McDaniels. And I had a fan call my show and tell me that his wife was eating at Gene's Place in West Park.
Nice.
I love Gene's Place. And there was a report that his wife was there enjoying some breakfast. This day, 2020, Francisco Lindor signed a $17.5 million arbitration deal with the Indians. That was the second highest ever for a second-year arbitration player. That would be his final contract he ever signed with the Cleveland Indians. He would, of course, be traded after that and doing just fine up there in New York, finally. This day, 2016, you remember this game? Blair Walsh missed a 34-yard field goal. Seattle beats Minnesota 10-9. The game was being played at the University of Minnesota because their stadium was getting built. It was -9. I remember people were pouring beer to drink it, and it was freezing by the time it was sitting in their mouth. That was cold. And you're going to get it this Saturday out there in Kansas City as well. I remember that game. It was a fun game.
Does not bode well for those Dolphins.
No. This day, 2013, Chris Mortensen reporting the Browns would hire Rob Chudzinski as their next head coach.
That was quick.
I love Chud, but bad situation for him. This day, 2013, Mel Kiper did a redraft of the 2007 draft. He said the Browns should take Darrelle Revis over Joe Thomas. No. I would tend to agree with that for a lot of different reasons, but it is what it is. This day, 2003, the NBA awarded a franchise to Charlotte. They would be known as the Bobcats. They have thankfully remedied that situation and gone back to the Hornets. Who's got the worst name in the NBA?
That's a good question.
The Pelicans.
The Pelicans, you think?
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Like, all right, here. I think the Celtics are cool. I think the Bucks are cool. I like the 76ers, Knicks, Heat, Pacers, Cavs, Magic, Bulls, Nets.
Do you like the Wizards?
Yeah, it's okay. Wizards, Hornets are great. I love the Hornets. Timberwolves, I think, are awesome. The Thunder kind of suck. The Thunder sucks. That's not a good name. The Nuggets, Clippers, Kings, Pelicans, Mavericks, Rockets, Suns, Lakers. Jazz is stupid.
But it's historical, so.
Well, it's from New Orleans, but there's no jazz in Utah.
Yeah, I guess.
Just like there's no lakes in LA, but they came from Minnesota.
Yeah.
The Warriors, I do have a soft spot for the Memphis Grizzlies. I love the name the Grizzlies from Vancouver. I wish they would go back to the old
Top
logo.
5 jersey ever.
Oh, yeah. And then the Blazers and the Spurs.
I miss the Supersonics. I like.
Oh,
that
I
name.
do too. They're going to expand. You'll have 2 teams added. You'll send one to Vegas. I don't even know. What are you going to call them? Something with cards? I don't know.
It's a good question.
I don't know. They're going to send a team there, and hopefully they get a team back to Seattle in the Supersonics. But the Bobcats was stupid. It was really stupid. This day, 2000, AOL Time Warner was founded. I spent a lot of time on AIM. Way before your time, but here we are. I used to go to the store, and they used to have the discs for like 1,000 free hours on AOL and stuff like that. Oh, a time to be alive. This day, 1982. Very famously, the catch there for the San Francisco 49ers. Also this day, 1982, the Freezer Bowl game, Cincy and the Chargers in the AFC Championship game. Again, negative weather, absolutely horrible. It is what it is. This day, 1901, drilling in Beaumont, Texas, produced an enormous gush of crude oil, which took 9 days to cap and started the U.S. oil industry down there in Texas. Going back to the Bengals-Chargers game, it was -9 at kickoff with a wind chill of -59. It was the coldest game in NFL history for the Freezer Bowl game. This day in 1982. 2 national championships for you in history. Auburn beat Oregon 22-19. This day 2011. Cam Newton, Marcus Mariota. And then this day 2022, Georgia beat Alabama 33-18. Happy birthday goes out to boxer and grilling master himself, George Foreman. Former Browns wide receiver Clarence Weathers, John Bosa, Nick and Joey's dad, Jake Delhomme, Glenn Robinson, Rod Stewart, and Pat Benatar. All celebrating birthdays today. All right, 2 television shows for you.
Let's do it.
And ironically, they are both this day, 1999. So start there, 1999.
Matt, I'm a man of good faith and honor. I do know one of them.
Go ahead.
The Sopranos.
That is correct. My hint was going to be who got whacked.
Yeah.
Do you think, you want to know a funny thing? I will probably never watch The Sopranos.
I've only seen the first season.
And it's because I've already seen the last
Yeah, that's
scene.
the problem.
Everybody has seen
Oh,
the
I
last
haven't,
scene.
yeah, I
Oh, you
haven't.
haven't?
No.
Okay, I don't want to ask you. Because it's one of those ones, anytime a legacy show ends, does it ever actually live up to the hype? You know, people are like, oh, they hated out Seinfeld ended, or they hated out
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, terrible.
Lost, I think they were kind of mad about. I don't know, something. Yeah.
Succession, I think people were they
Yeah.
not mad about that. What was the one that
How I Met Your Mother's was awful. I don't know if you've watched
I
that
never
show.
saw it.
Horrible.
I never saw it. What was it? Like, wasn't it that? And I don't care. You can tell me a spoiler. I don't care.
Well,
Like-
so the whole thing was you get
He
to the
marries
end
the
and you
other
find
chick.
out, yeah, you marries the other chick, right? But then it basically ends, I guess, like in that moment, you know how he's telling his kids on the couch. So it turns out that like his wife dies from a sickness.
Oh, that's right.
And then he just goes to Robin, her apartment, which
Yeah.
is the whole thing, you know, him and Robin.
Yeah.
And they just, I guess, get together. You never, I guess, see it.
Yeah.
It was just such a typical abrupt ending.
Yeah. The Sopranos, everybody wants to know. When you watch it eventually, the biggest question is who got whacked. Everybody thinks Tony got whacked or did the audience get whacked? I don't know. But The Sopranos, I mean, I guess maybe I'll watch it one day. Who knows? Breaking Bad, Dexter. For me, I loved. Oh, Dexter's one thing. People, like, hated the end of Dexter.
Doesn't he just like, sorry, spoilers for everybody here. Doesn't he just like go off on a boat
Drives
to
off
an
on a boat.
island? Yeah.
Drives off on a boat. And then they do the credits, and then they come back, and that he's still alive. He drives off into a storm
Yeah.
on his boat. Everybody just assumes that he's out there.
Well, yeah, they made like a.
Then they
yeah.
came back with a remake season. I watched it because I love Dexter. I'll tell you this, the villain was fantastic. The season wasn't great. It wasn't bad. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Because I'm like, oh, wait, you're bringing back Dexter after it being away for 6 years. This is going to suck.
Yeah, it always does.
It wasn't terrible. All right, so Sopranos is right. The other one is nowhere near to the level of The Sopranos.
But
But
1999. you said?
1999. But it has a soft place in my heart. This should give you a hint, maybe. And if I said Terry McGinnis, would I do anything for you?
Terry McGinnis. Irish.
Yeah, but that really doesn't have an
Okay.
impact on the TV
No,
show.
that alone does not.
Okay. Well, I didn't. Okay. An offshoot of this show made our bracket, which we'll get to here in a minute. An offshoot of this TV show. So, one of the shows in our bracket was the precursor to this show, which debuted in 1999.
Is this show animated as well?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Yes. I said it has a very special place in my heart. So you know me.
Oh. Batman?
Yeah.
The animated series?
Well, that was the precursor to this.
Oh. I don't know.
Have you ever seen Batman Beyond?
No.
Okay, so the whole gimmick is it's a
Okay.
little bit of. There's a real famous graphic novel by Frank Miller called The Dark Knight Returns. And everybody thinks of Batman when he's in his 30s or his 20s. What happens when Batman was 65 years old? Batman Beyond is, in a futuristic world, he turns over his powers to a young kid, and the suit is mechanical, and he flies, and all that other kind of stuff. Not bad.
Was the
short.
kid a Robin?
No, it's just some kid named Terry McGinnis.
Oh, okay.
Terry McGinnis. There's an animated movie they made called The Return of the Joker where the Robin does come back. Kind of trippy, but yes, Batman Beyond.
Who's your favorite Robin?
In a cinematic world?
Yeah.
So you got Burt Ward. You have Chris O'Donnell for those two movies. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I guess, if you want to count him, and then that's it, right?
Yeah, because they barely tease
Okay,
that.
here's your trivia of the day. Do you know, you've seen Batman Returns, the Christmas one with Danny DeVito as the Penguin and
No,
stuff?
I haven't.
You haven't?
No.
Oh my God, watch it. It's great. So when they sat down, you've seen Batman 89, right?
No. I haven't seen... I know. I love Batman to death, but, obviously my Batman when I was kind of born was Christian Bale. So I've seen the Bales, I've seen the Afflecks, and I've seen the Robert Pattinson, but I haven't seen the Adam West. I haven't seen the Michael Keaton's. Yeah. I know. I really should.
I'm very upset.
I know. I need to do
Very
that.
upset.
Because I am really a big Batman fan. I just haven't
How have you not watched those then? What are you doing?
Because it's I don't know. It's how do you go back?
But oh my God, you're not going back. These movies are great. Watch 89 first, then watch Returns. I will
Okay.
tell you this, you're not going to like Returns. I'll put a good money down.
Okay.
So here's my quick factoid, right? So Tim Burton made the 89 Batman with Keaton. You know Jack Nicholson played the Joker in
Yeah.
that? All right, at least you know that. So then for the sequel, they wrote this all up. They had a lot of different ideas. Tim Burton was going to introduce Robin. Do you know who he was picking to play Robin?
So what year did this come out?
1992.
So you had to be kind of younger.
He was going to pick Marlon Wayans.
Oh, wow.
Or was it Marlon or Sean Wayans? Which Wayans brother?
Interesting.
Marlon. There was a time that they were going to make him Robin in the sequel, and then they scrapped the idea. For some reason, I don't know why. I think that would have been awesome. Marlon Wayans was going to play Robin in the second Batman, and then they just flipped it and everything like that. I mean, I would go Burt Ward. Chris O'Donnell was fine. Joseph Gordon-Levitt really wasn't Robin. He's going to be, but not. But yeah, it kind of is what it is. But yes, Batman Beyond and Sopranos on the same day, both of opposite ends of the spectrum, I guess, when you look at it that way. All right, wrapping things up here on our question up this morning. We asked everybody, how concerned are you with the Browns kicking situation without Dustin Hopkins, or at least he's unlikely for this weekend? 62% of votes says they're a little concerned. 21% says extremely concerned. Only 16% say they're not concerned at all. Good news on Grant Delpit today. Talked about Noah Weiskopf with that. If you missed that, go back, watch it on the YouTube channel. Of course, here on Twitter as well. So we'll see. For the Browns, again, pretty standard status quo as we gear up for this game this weekend, which is going to be awesome. It's going to be exciting. Can't wait to get to that. We will get to our bets with Tipico. Folks, speaking of our friends at Tipico, here we go. We're going to do an Ohio college basketball boost tonight. So here's what you do. You go to the Tipico app. You download it. Use the code Fontana100 when you sign up. You bet and deposit $25 on whatever you want. With that code Fontana100, you will get $100 in bonus bets. And you can place it on our boost for tonight. You have Ohio State minus 1.5 against Wisconsin. You've got Wright State, 5.5 point favorites on the road at Robert Morris. And Youngstown State, 4.5-point home favorites against Purdue Fort Wayne. It is the Ohio basketball boost tonight. Ryan, that 3-leg parlay comes out to plus 801 as you see it there on the screen.
Sounds like some weekend money for me.
I don't know anything about college basketball, so that probably tells you that this one is going to hit. Throwing it at the wall here. Here it is. It's up. We also have another boost going up with our friends at Tipico. This is the Browns boost for the weekend. Browns money line, Dolphins money line against the Chiefs, and the Steelers money line against the Bills plus 25-45. That's one of our big boosts this weekend.
Now let's get the dogs to come home for a playoff
I love it.
game.
It's going to be great. Get signed up with our friends at Tipico. Again, use that code Fontana100 when you sign up. You get those bonus bets, and you can rock it on out. All right, let's get to our bracket of the week. We are doing your favorite 90s animated cartoon. Ryan, what do we got? Group 1.
Well, I had somebody in the comments say SpongeBob doesn't count, but if they watch the show, we said as long as it started in the 90s, which SpongeBob did, there's no argument that it's not a 90s cartoon.
We agree.
SpongeBob, of course, won Group 1. Group 2, Matt would not have been here for work today if this didn't win, but that is, of course, Batman, the animated series.
Well done, voters out there. Group 3 tonight, Doug, Rugrats, Ed, Edd and Eddy, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Group 4, Recess, which is Ryan is a big fan of that
It's
one.
my winner.
Spider-Man, the animated series, which was great. Powerpuff Girls and Angry Beavers all go tonight. I would probably go, oh man, I love the Rugrats. I'll probably go Rugrats and then Spider-Man, the animated series, with a soft spot for Angry Beavers. Those would be my votes. What about you?
I would go Recess, of course, as I mentioned, and I would go Ed, Edd and Eddy.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
I like that.
I've always wanted one of those giant jawbreakers.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot
Just
about
shove
that.
it in my mouth.
Yeah, there you go. Wanted to wrap up with this because I was flipping around ESPN this morning, and I clicked on a mock draft, Ryan. And I know the Browns do. I love mock drafts. I do. I can't help myself. I just can't. It's not even that the Browns are just good. We don't even have a first-round pick again to worry about. And this is from Jordan Reed. And I've talked to Jordan before, and I think he's really smart at what he does, and he's up and coming there as one of their draft analysts. Do you want to know why I'm bringing up this mock draft run? Of the first 6 picks, there were 3 quarterbacks and 3 wide receivers.
Ooh,
Go ahead. Go. Chicago. First overall pick.
Caleb Williams.
Yes. Commanders, second overall pick.
Is it a receiver or quarterback? Quarterback? See, this is where it kind of did they go Drake May?
Yes.
Okay.
Number 3 overall, New England Patriots.
Is it a quarterback?
Yes.
Jaden Daniels?
Jaden Daniels is correct. Number 4, so these are wide receivers.
Okay, Marvin Harrison.
Correct. Number 5,
Malik Neighbors.
to the Chargers. Number 6, Giants.
Keon Coleman.
No.
Who am I missing?
He just played Monday night.
Rome.
Odunze. Yeah.
Is that how you pronounce it? Odunze?
I think it's Odunze, but
Okay.
Either way, yes, wrong. So how crazy is that? And I know that might not play out, and there might be trades and all that kind of stuff, but does that not tell you the state of football right now? Quarterbacks and receivers. The first 6 picks in this mock draft are 3 quarterbacks and 3 receivers. 3 quarterbacks, 3 receivers. And granted, there's not like a Myles Garrett in this draft or like a huge defense guy or some offensive line. I just thought that was really crazy.
That is
That is the world that we live in, quarterbacks and receivers. And there's always been this mark. Sorry, I got an itchy nose this morning. It's dry. Andrew Berry spoke about this, I think, even in the draft, about the evolution of the wide receivers for the fact of that these kids are coming out after they were at camps in high school running NFL route trees. Like the development of being a receiver is the cool position to play in football right now. It is. It really is. So you have these guys coming into college and then therefore coming into the pros far and advanced compared to where they've ever been before on just how to play the position. You're only going to see that continue to go up and up and up and up. Browns need some help.
Wait, Matt, real quick, that kind of got me thinking. You said the Chargers were one of those picks, right?
Yeah.
And that who'd they take?
Malik Neighbors.
Okay, so if you were, we kind of had this debate, right, about receivers and tight ends.
Mhm.
Would you consider Bowers over him then?
So he's got Brock Bowers going in this.
They drafted Quentin Johnson last year, first round.
I know.
They still have Keenan
right?
Allen. He's a little bit
Yeah.
older, but they have Mike Williams still coming
He's
off
got
injury.
Brock Bowers falling to 15 to the Colts.
Ooh.
And he said if they could keep on Pittman, if they could keep him because he's a free agent, Anthony Richardson, you get Brock Bowers, that would be a pretty good fit there for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got a couple of their offensive linemen, that alt kid from Notre Dame. He's got McCarthy going 12 to the Broncos.
Have fun with that.
Dude, please let that happen. God, that'd be so much fun to watch. That could be so much fun to watch. That's it for first-round quarterbacks, though. So he's got 3 going in the first 3 picks. He's got McCarthy going, 12 to the Broncos, and those are the only quarterbacks that Jordan Reed has in the first round. So 4. That's it. I mean, those are probably going to be the 4, but I think it's pretty interesting. I just clicked on it because I can't help myself, but it's 6 first picks, 3 quarterbacks, 3 wide receivers. Great stuff today. Appreciate everybody that joined us. We have Greg Williams joining us tomorrow. Ryan, I'm really excited to talk to Greg. Of course, come get some on Monday nights with us here on Big Play. I want to talk about the coaching circle or coaching carousel circle. Like, what's it like to be in these interviews? How do you approach this thing? And the ultimate question, does he think Jim Schwartz might still have that itch to go coach on the head coaching level? We'll get to all that with Greg tomorrow. We're gearing up for Saturday. It's going to be so much fun. I can't wait. Cavs finally back in action tomorrow night. We'll talk some wine and gold tomorrow as well. We'll get our typical boost on that. Again, don't forget about our Ohio basketball boost tonight. It's going to be Ohio State. It's going to be Wright State and Youngstown State all to cover. That's boosted up to plus 800. Get signed up with our friends at Tipico using that code Fontana100. Terms and conditions apply. Got a gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. And then, dude, we're going to get to Friday. I love Friday on this show anyway, but Friday's going to be so great with our picks. We'll do a Friday report card. It's going to be a little different than it was a couple of weeks ago, but nonetheless, gearing up for Saturday playoff game. Go vote on our Twitter question, or vote on our bracket, today for the best 90s cartoon. And then tonight, got bonus time, right, with Bruce Drennan.
We do?
From an undisclosed location. South.
He's like Dexter in the woods.
Yeah, exactly. Do they have woods where he's at? I guess they probably do.
I don't know.
It's not cold there. We're dealing with negative. We got the. Do you see like there's supposed to be like a polar vortex again?
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
When is that?
Like this coming up a couple of days, I think.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. So stay safe out there. Stay warm. Drennan doesn't have to worry about that because he's in a very warm place. That's it for us. For Ryan Tyler, I am Matt Fontana. Over here, Chico coming up at 12 today as well. A lot coming up with Chico, 12 to 2. For Ryan Tyler, I'm Matt Fontana. As always, take it easy.